Hi, it's Mr. Parrott here. I'm Associate Assistant Head at Stack, and I'm going to be talking to you today about using Microsoft Teams effectively for remote learning. So, what is Microsoft Teams and how do I get it? Those of you that were with us in July for the new Parent Information Evening will have heard a bit of information about this and its uses. But essentially, Microsoft Teams is a way in which teachers can share resources, get students to complete work, communicate with students, and even teach live lessons. So obviously in the current times that we're in, it's a really important and useful tool for us to be able to use. So Teams can be used over the internet. You can open it on an internet browser like Safari or Google Chrome by going to teams.microsoft.com. But by far the best way to use Teams is by downloading the app, ideally on a computer, but otherwise on a tablet. You can also get an app for iPhones and other phones, which is very useful to support. But my strong advice is to download the app onto a laptop or a computer if you have one. So loads of the incoming Year 7 students managed to complete the online task over the summer, which is great to see. But if you're using Teams for the first time, you'll have found it's a bit clunky and sometimes difficult to log in for the first time. So when you're there for the first time, what you have to do is type in your full Stack email address. Once you've done that, you go to the RM Unify login screen and your email address should still be there, and you add your password and click sign in. Teams will then open. The first time you open it, it will take a few seconds longer than it normally would do. Once Teams is open, you will see any teams that your son has been added to. For the sake of this Parent Power workshop, I have created our own team to be able to use. When you click on the team, you can see any activity that's already there, normally from the teacher. One of the things I'm going to show you today is how to complete an assignment. So teachers often will be setting assignments for homework or even in class using Microsoft Teams. There are two ways that you can access your assignments. One is through the team itself, clicking the Assignments tab. The other is to click the Assignments tab on the left-hand side of the screen and then click on the relevant team and assignments will show. There are two types of assignments that I'm going to show you how to complete today. The first is a quiz. So the quizzes are set using Microsoft Forms and they happen all within the Teams app. This is an example that I gave to some Year 8 students during lockdown. Some multiple choice questions, so you have to make sure that you clicked your choice. There are some answers that might require you to type something, and there are some that might even be 2 marks, as you can see here. So you have to make sure that you're answering according to the number of marks that have been allocated. Once you submit your answers, you have the option to look at the results, and you can see I did terribly. I got 3 out of 10, which doesn't bode well. But you can see the feedback that's there. That's if the teacher has entered those answers. The other type of assignment, once you've handed that one in, the other type might be a Word file. A teacher might upload a worksheet, or they might just give you a task that needs to be completed using a word processor. Here, in this example, you're being asked to make a diary entry in the first person. So here I am just typing a few words as an example, and you can type directly into that document, close it, and then make sure that you click turn in or hand in. It will either say turn in or hand in depending on the version of Teams that you have. One very useful thing we're able to do is actually teach live using Microsoft Teams. In the event of any lockdown, obviously that would be hugely useful. To join a lesson, you go to the team that you are timetabled to be in and you click join when a teacher has started that meeting. Switch off the camera, switch off the microphone, and once you join that lesson, your teacher's slides will probably be on view. So here's an example from a Year 10 music lesson during lockdown. There's some basic expectations set out, and in the green box it says what students will need for that session. At the bottom you can see you can raise your hand, you can unmute your microphone if you need to, you can open up the chat, which only you would use if a teacher tells you to. At the end of a lesson you press the red button to end the call. So obviously it goes without saying that we expect the very best from students if they're undertaking live lessons. They need to make sure that cameras are off and sound is on and microphones are muted. They need to make sure obviously that they're focused without distractions and ready to answer questions either out loud or using the chat function. They should make sure they only type in the chat when they are asked, writing in a way that you would in class, obviously using professional language. So finally, how can you support your son with using Microsoft Teams? I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but try to ensure that he has a quiet space to work in, giving him priority access to the internet. So if that's limited, just making sure that he's got as much speed as possible. Check his assignments, check the way that he uses the chat function and that he's using that professionally, and encourage him to get in touch with his teachers, either by email or using the messaging function on Teams. But do be aware teachers obviously aren't available 24/7. Much as they would like to be, they will always do their best to get back to your son as quickly as possible. I hope you found that Parent Power workshop useful. It's very brief, but obviously you're very welcome to go back through that video to watch anything that you need clarity on. Do get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you.